Are you ready to do this, Matt?
Yes, sir. Punch it, Chewy.
Welcome, super friends, to the Fortress of Nerditude podcast, a safe place to talk about all things in nerd and pop culture. I'm Spencer Stapleton, and my co-pilot is Matt Shaw. We're two nerds that just refuse to grow up. Thank you for joining us. This is episode 204. We release every Thursday morning. You can find us at the website, fortofnerd.com. We have links to iTunes, Google Music, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, and everywhere podcasts are available. Stop by and relax a while. If you like what you're hearing, hit that subscribe button and get us automatically each and every week in your ear holes. Matt, it is episode 204. How are you doing on this Tuesday night?
Man, good. Really good. We did have full disclosure for those not listening and watching live. A few technical issues on my end. And by few, I mean it felt like just an endless list of problems I was having.
I will say if there's anything that could have gone wrong, it went
Yeah.
wrong. Your audio, your video, your monitor, your
Yep.
AirPods, like
Mm-hmm.
then you're recording. Like, here's the thing though, if I know anything about this hobby that we do, you're gonna have all these things that are gonna go wrong. The podcast is still gonna sound perfect, and then next week and for like a long stretch of time, you won't have any problems.
Yep. Maybe.
uh,
Yeah, so that was a fun thing. You know, it's a fun thing. But we actually did have a really good week, and some fun stuff did happen, like
okay,
legit fun, good stuff. We had, I think we mentioned this. I might have mentioned on the podcast, maybe not, but Charles, who we had on a few weeks ago or months ago now,
right.
he came and visited us. He and his wife and their two kids, and their kids are the same age as Emmy and Lando. I think like 1 month different exactly between Laurel and Emmy, and then like 3 or 4 months difference between Lando and Piper. So it was fun to have them for a couple of days and hang out and let the kids play together and stuff. So that was our big event coming up for the weekend. So I smoked some ribs on Sunday
Ooh,
to impress and persuade them to move to Texas. Not that I think that they will, but a man's got to try. A man's got to try.
yep.
So we did that, and they turned out way better this time than they did the first time. I tried a few different things, and you know, it worked out. I used Coke Zero.
Hmm.
After I wrapped them, I poured Coke Zero in instead of like an apple juice, and it was really, really good. And I used a different wood too. I used cherry the first time, and it was sweet, but it wasn't as flavorful or as smoky as I wanted it.
Uh
And
huh.
so this time I went with hickory, which was much more smoky,
Hickory's a good wood.
and it gave me the smoke I wanted, and then the Coke Zero brown sugar honey that I put on after it had been in there for 3 hours and absorbing all the smoke. It was it was fall apart, delicious, so good. So that's always fun to do.
Sounds
Um,
delicious.
yeah, it was. Not gonna lie. But they left this morning, so that's why we didn't record last night, because we had company over and don't get a lot of time with Charles in person very often. Even though we did just go to Disney World with them like last month.
Yep.
So funny how that all lined up. They were in town for a wedding up in Dallas, and they drove the 4.5 hours to come see us. So it was really
Ooh.
nice of them. Um, and then, other than that, it was just kind of the hang out, do your thing kind of week. We had Prime Day was this last week
Oh
since we
yeah,
last
yeah,
had the
yeah.
podcast, and So for me, that's always interesting because I got to make sure all my clients have their sales running. And then as a consumer, it's interesting because you're like, okay, what do I not need that's on sale that I can buy because it's Prime Day and that's the.
Right.
And so over the last week, steadily, at least once a day, there's a knock at our door. Well, more Prime, more packages all the
Mm.
time, every time.
Yeah.
And so that was great. Um, and then, for me, this is exciting. And I know you're not an Apple guy, but I am.
Oh, yeah.
And they had the iPhone event on Tuesday. And that's always fun to watch. They do a great job kind of introducing you with the new phone every year. So that's super exciting for me. I'm ready for an upgrade. So I woke up early on Friday to pre order my phone online at Verizon and got the one I wanted. It'll be here in 3 days, 3 or 4 days. So that was,
Are you
oh, that's an exciting thing.
So, are you one of those guys that like updates every year? Like, are you on the latest and
No,
greatest, or like do you wait a few years?
it will depend. I'm on like the monthly installment thing, but after 2 years, you pay your phone off and then it's yours to use. So I
Yeah.
could upgrade after a year, but this time I didn't. There wasn't enough between the 10 and the 11 for
Mm.
me to be like excited about it. So I haven't upgraded in a couple of years. So I am excited to get a new phone.
Yeah.
It's like
So
Christmas.
the only reason I ask, and not to jump in on your week because we'll let you get back to it, but Brita has got a phone that's like 3.5, pushing 4 years old now, and it's
Yeah.
slowed way down, and it's got problems. And I've got that Google Pixel 4 XL that I got a year ago, basically.
Yeah.
Um, and I've loved it, except I've had to take it in for phone surgery twice. And this last
Uh-oh.
time, they replaced the battery again and the motherboard. And when they do the motherboard, they have to replace the front facing camera. And on my version, the front facing camera is like the way you do the face unlock. And sometimes now, since this last change, it doesn't recognize my face. And it's like, hey, clean off the top little area of your screen. And so I'm like, okay, wipe,
Oh,
wipe, wipe. And so I told Breed, I was like, let's get you the iPhone, or not the iPhone, the Pixel 5 when it comes out here in just a couple of weeks. And she was saying, like, well, you've had to replace all this hardware. You've been paying it off for a year. She's like, why don't we both just swap and get Pixel 5s? Because the nice thing with the Pixel 5 is they've gone back to putting that button on the back so you can use your finger to unlock.
mm.
It's like just you'd hold it and you could tap it and unlock it
Yeah.
instead of having to
Yeah.
use the face unlock, which I gotta admit, with having to wear masks everywhere when I'm in the grocery store
Game changer,
and
man.
I need to use the face unlock to get to my little menu to see what I need at the grocery store. I have to pull the mask down, hold it in front of my face, and put it back. Like, if I could just touch the button, it would be easier. So
I hear you.
we may be getting new phones, both of us here, in just a couple weeks.
I
So
like it. I like it's fun.
it's that
It's just a fun
upgrade
thing.
season.
It is. It is the upgrade season for sure.
Yep.
So that was okay. That really was the end. So those are great
Oh,
segue into your week. So you
well,
guys are maybe getting new phones too. Great.
we might
Pixel
be
5.
getting
If I
so
wasn't gonna have an iPhone, it would be a Pixel hands down.
dude,
So
I really
I
like,
like the Pixel.
even though I've had some hardware issues with my Pixel, from a software perspective, I
Yeah.
love the crap out of this thing. It's
Yeah.
it's basic original Android. It's not got the Samsung or the HP or the LG skin stuff over top of it that you have to wait for them to update to. It's got all these like amazing, just like, I don't want to say utilitarian, but like it kind of feels that way. Like it's just like, I just need it to do this, and I just want it to
Yeah.
do this, and it
Yeah.
just does that, and I don't have to be like, well, like, I don't know. Breeda's got this old Samsung that's like the Edge, and it's got this little Edge feature. You can swipe your thumb, and it pulls up a little menu on the Edge. But like, I felt that was gimmicky from Samsung, and the kind of the rounded glass was kind of gimmicky, and so
Right.
I don't have to deal with any of that crap. It's just like, it works. And when I go to get a new phone, I will do a backup of everything, and it'll
Yeah.
back up everything on my phone. and then I just do a factory reset, hand it to them, get my new phone, authenticate in, and then say restore from backup, and it'll restore all my apps, everything. All my pictures are saved in the cloud. Like I love
Don't
it.
you remember those days when you got a new flip
Oh,
phone, you had to stay there and wait while they put the
yes,
thing
the
in,
little
and then
cradle
you
or
had
the
to
cable.
wait,
Yep.
and then it's like, "It takes a while to download. There's lots of information." And I'm like, "What? My iPhone or your Google Pixel can back it up within seconds, it feels like."
Well, you also
Oh,
have to remember, like back in the day, like we used to save our contacts to the SIM card.
yes.
That way
Yep.
you could like swap your SIM card out and like you had your contacts. Like who does that anymore? Like I keep all
Right.
my contacts in my Google, in my
Yeah, it's
Gmail,
all in the cloud,
and
man.
it's in the cloud. So like all I have to do is put that account on and it all loads back
Yep.
in, and I'm good to go.
It's a thing of beauty, man.
It's
How
a.
they've done it is I just love it.
I've told this story multiple times, but when I switched from a SIM card phone to like my first Android smartphone, I didn't know to think, oh, the SIM card, the contacts, and so
Mhm.
I remember saying, I don't have anyone's phone numbers, and like I don't even have my own mother's phone. Like I didn't have my mom's phone number, and so
Right.
I had to send out like I can't remember if it was a Facebook message. I think it was a Facebook message, and I said, hey, if anyone has my mom's phone number, can you send it to me because I got a new phone and I lost it. And my mom messaged me. She's like, really, Spence? I'm like, I after that, I put all my contacts into Google, so I
There you
never will
go.
lose them again.
Nice,
So,
nice.
anyway, a
Awesome.
little story about how back in the day I was technologically an idiot, which
Back in the day.
may or may not still apply today. Who knows?
Hmm?
But speaking of technology, work has been crazy. Matt, can I tell you this? It's just been like, I don't know what it is, but like this last week, there's just been a lot going on. I've had a lot of users have issues or needing help on top of like trying to do other stuff. And like, we're now kind of into this season where we start doing our budgeting for the upcoming fiscal year. And so we're trying to like project ahead and say, okay, like we're going to have these big projects coming up. And so we need to allocate this money for hardware, this money for software, this money for travel, this money for training, this money for, whatever. And it's kind of a cat and mouse type of game, right? Because you're trying to catch something that's very elusive because certain things are going to be year over year the same type of
Yeah.
idea. Like I will replace a third of the hardware and get a third of my users' laptops replaced every year. That's the
Yeah.
idea. But then
Yeah.
like you don't know when other things are going to come up. Like oh maybe as our IT department we wanted to install a new server array, or hey maybe a server goes bad on us and now we have to buy one to replace. Like it
Yeah.
it's kind of a
Yeah.
guessing game, and so like we have to do our best, but like it ends up taking some time, and like we try to do that. So like that's going on, and then just a bunch of other stuff, and I'm trying to get more involved in projects that aren't just specific to my location that affect the entire company, and
Okay. Yeah.
I'm wanting to do more, but of course since I don't have someone locally to take tickets and work with our end users, I'm kind of splitting time a lot. And so it's just been crazy, but we got someone that we like for the open position, and we're trying to get that taken care of
Good.
as we speak. So hopefully, fingers crossed that that'll all work out.
Nice. Nice.
Let's see what else has been going on. Oh, I've been streaming and playing more Animal Crossing.
Yeah,
I
you
did a
have.
villager hunt. I kicked out one of my villagers because I
Mm-hmm.
realized that each villager has this like little personality, and you
Yeah.
can't learn all the emotes and get all these little DIYs unless you have one of every personality. And I was like really heavy on a couple personalities and I didn't know that. So now I know this. So a villager came to me and said, "Hey, I'm kind of thinking that I maybe need to move on if I want to, grow and advance." And I was like, "Sure,
Right.
sounds good. Get the heck out of here." And then I went on a villager hunt, going to a bunch of different islands to find a villager that I liked. And there was one that I passed up on that she was super cute looking. It was a little rhino with a little strawberry for a little horn and like a little white thing on her head. Her name is Meringue. and she was super cute, but I passed on her because she wasn't the right personality. And I ended up finding some like little monkey that reminds me of like my
Ooh.
10th grade geometry teacher, Mrs. Lundgren.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I don't necessarily like the look, but I need the personality. And once I get all the
Okay.
little emotes, Matt,
Yeah.
the old teacher's gonna
The
get the
monkey's
boot.
out.
Monkey's
Monkey's
out.
out.
Monkey's out.
Monkey's
That's
out.
so that's going on. That's been a lot of fun. I don't know if I told you we restarted How I Met Your Mother.
Yes, you did. Yep.
Okay, we're into the second season now.
Nice,
We're just
nice, nice.
we're like I have a feeling like we're gonna rip through a season a week or less. Like it's just we put it on while we're just kind of chilling in the evening or on the
Right,
weekend.
right.
But the big thing that happened to me this week, like this was out of all the things that happened, this was the most exciting thing that happened. I, for the last few months, have felt like a failure as a husband, Super Friends. A failure. I'm gonna own this because Charlie's 7, approaching 8, and Jackson is 6, and my boys can't ride bikes without training wheels. And if you
Mm.
recall, in the spring and like end of the spring, right before summer started, um, I took the training wheels off. We would take them over to a church parking lot, and we would take like a little break in the middle of the afternoon, just because I was like, I need to get away from my desk at home, and I need a break. And the kids were trying to do like school from home, and like it just a lot was going on.
Yeah.
So we tried to teach him how to ride bikes, and Charlie got pretty good. Like he could go, he could start turning, he could balance, but like starting on his own and kind of pushing off on his own still kind of eluded him. And then Jackson just got frustrated, and like the best he did was like 5 seconds of pedaling without falling over,
Mm.
stopping, whatever. And then he would just stop. He would get like frustrated and angry and stubborn and wouldn't do anything else.
Yeah.
So this weekend, like we kind of stopped. Like we hadn't tried riding bikes for maybe like the last 2-3 months, just because
Okay.
it seemed to be like I was pushing them to do this, and they didn't want to. And so on
Yeah.
Saturday, I said, "Hey kids, we're gonna let you play with your tablets. We're gonna do some things. We're gonna clean up." I said, and then we're gonna go over to the church and we're gonna ride bikes again. And they kind of went, okay, I guess.
Okay.
So we went
Yeah.
over,
Yeah.
but when I went over, I said, "Hey, we're also going to take the scooters. So we'll do a little bike riding, and then you guys can do the scooters. And then we'll do bike riding and then scooters." Thinking, okay, maybe if they know there's a little break, they won't get as frustrated. And then we can, when they start getting a little frustrated, we swap to something they love to do and that they can do.
Yeah.
And we went there, and I was like, "Charlie, do you remember how to start off on your own?" He's like, "Yeah." And I kind of helped him. I helped him literally for about 3 minutes, just kind of giving him a little push. And then he
Okay.
started saying, "Look, Dad, I can start on my own." And then he started kicking off on his own, riding. He could do a bunch of circles. He knows how to brake and
Ooh.
stop. And like, he's just riding. My only problem with this, I think we need to get him a little bit bigger of a bike because his knees seem to come way up too high. And
Okay.
and he also doesn't seem to go like he can like pedal faster, but he doesn't seem to like go any faster.
Okay.
But Charlie's just kind of off on his own, and he was more advanced, and so I was like, "Oh, great! This is good. Like I'm I'm excited for him. Like he's got it." And
Yeah.
earlier in the summer, I did tell him I'd buy him like a toy if they learned how. So
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Jackson, my frustratingly stubborn little boy, he got on, and all of a sudden we started getting him being able to ride for maybe like 10, 15 seconds in a straight line to mom and
Uh-huh.
dad. And then we started working on turning a little bit. And by the end of like the little session, maybe 45 minutes we were over there, he was starting to turn a few little circles and kind of going, but
Okay.
like he
Yeah.
doesn't know how to pedal backwards to stop. He keeps like trying to take his legs off the pedals and put them
Yeah.
down,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he couldn't
Yeah.
start on his own. I was like, "Okay, come on, we're getting there." Then the boys were pestering me on Sunday. They're like, Dad, can we go back to the church parking lot? Can we go back to the church? Please, please, please." So I was like, "Fine." So we went over there, and Charlie just gets up and boom, he's off and going. I was like, "Sweet, yes." And then
Nice.
Jackson needed a little shove, and then he started like following Charlie and doing some circles. And then I said, "Hey, Jackson, just try to start off on your own." I said, "Put the one foot up and push down like you're trying to stomp on a bug real hard, and then use the other foot to kind of kick off the ground a little bit." and
Mm-hmm.
Jackson started pushing off on his own without me. Like with Charlie, I had to like spend like a ton of time showing
Wow.
him. So now
Yeah.
Jackson needs a little help breaking still, a little help breaking,
Okay.
but he pretty much
Yeah.
has it. And like they loved it and they had fun, and I felt like I had accomplished something, even though they're doing everything. But I was like,
Yeah.
finally, my boys can ride bikes,
That's
and
awesome.
come this next spring, Brita and I are gonna get bikes or buy bikes or I don't know, something so that we can all start riding together as a family. And
Yeah.
I don't know, there's just some part of me that knows like when I was a kid and I was 5, I could ride a bike, and it gave me the freedom to ride around my little neighborhood and play with friends and have adventures. And like my boys have figured that out now. And so like they're going to be entering into this next stage of like adventurous childhood, and I'm just it makes me
Yeah.
so happy.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So
That's super cool. That's
after
super cool.
after being a failure as a father, Matt, I feel like I'm now a success.
Yeah, your wife sent pictures.
Oh, did she?
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that.
Or a video, actually.
Well then, I guess this is news to the super friends and not so much you, Matt. Sorry. Yeah.
Correct.
I just gave you like a 20-minute
But the
story.
story was great. That I
Oh, there
didn't
you
know
go.
the story of it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Super cool.
it was good. But that was my week. It was really good, and
Nice.
the highlight was the bike riding. I mean, I just had a
Yeah.
great time with that. So,
That's great, man. Awesome.
speaking of a great time, you know what else is a great time, Matt?
Killing boffins.
Killing bothans. I think we should have a great time killing some bothans. What do you say?
Let's do it.
I always have to let you know, many Bothans died to bring us this information.
Rest in peace, you Bothans.
All right, Matt, we are into Rebel Intelligence. What do you have for me this week?
Let's start out on a Star Wars note, because that's a
Ooh.
great place to start.
Let's
And
do
we'll
it.
be doing a little bit more Star Wars over the next couple of days, weeks, and months, which is feels so good to be talking about Star Wars again.
Yes, it does.
So this was really cool. When I saw this, I got really excited. And Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland and Disney World, there's a place where you can go to Doc Ondors and get legacy lightsabers
yeah.
that you can purchase. I believe you can also get them at Savvy's workshop, but you can get those legacy sabers there. And Disney put out a poll, and they basically said, whose saber would you like to see next? Because they've got, they've got some of the classics,
Sure.
like the Return of the Jedi, Luke saber, and they've got, like, I don't remember, Obi-Wan probably,
Darth
and
Vader.
Darth Vader, and the whiny guy
Anakin.
from the new series.
The whiny
and,
guy from the new series.
the cross-guard lightsaber dude.
Oh, Kylo Ren.
My boy. So they put
Did you
out
actually forget the name? Did you
I had a
actually?
brain fart. I did.
Okay, I love it.
Full disclosure, I'm on a medication right now. Full disclosure.
Gotcha.
Full disclosure. So anyway, so Cal Kestis
Mm-hmm.
from Jedi Fallen Order,
Yeah.
the video game, was among those that we could see their lightsaber. He ended up smoking the competition.
Nice.
Ended up with 40% of the vote. And he beat
Ooh.
out the likes of Anakin Skywalker, Qui-Gon Jinn, Ezra Bridger, Kanan Jarrus, and Lord Korvac.
Okay. That's a
That's
good list.
a lot of characters.
That's a good list.
Characters that I'd love to see all of their lightsabers. But Cal Kestis seems to have cemented his place. And Respawn has created something that was so special in that game that told us such a great Star Wars story. And we just came to love this character and how he escaped the Order 66 and all. I mean,
Yeah.
And his lightsaber is freaking cool.
It's amazing. I love it.
It's freaking cool. So this won't come out until late next year. However, I legitimately plan on asking for one of those for Christmas next year. Like, those are cool. Like, I really want one. And they started to put some of these legacy sabers on Shop Disney online, so I'm hoping Cal makes it, because I don't know that we'll be going to Disney next year, but we'll see.
So my only question is, like, how quality is the material? Like, is it actually metal? Is it plastic?
Dude, they're legit.
Okay.
They're expensive. You're gonna be paying about $200.
Ooh.
I mean, they're legit. It's not like a kid's saber. Like,
Okay.
This is legit.
It's not like when you go like through
Target and Walmart and you can flip them open.
No, but you know how, like, if you go to Disneyland and you go ride Star Tours and then you come out through the gift shop, they have like that little area where you can like put together the little plasticky ones.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not that.
Good. All right.
Not at all.
I'm gonna stick with Star Wars for my first Rebel Intelligence item. So Matt, and you kind of alluded to this. We know that The Mandalorian season 2 is just right around the corner.
Oh my gosh, I know.
And we haven't even talked about this, but you and I will probably do a sidekick podcast on it, right? Because those are real short. Like, we talk for 10, 15 minutes or whatever each episode. That's right around the corner. Like literally like a week and a half away. The interesting thing to me, which I don't think this should come as a massive surprise, but according to Jon Favreau, who is the showrunner of The Mandalorian, he is saying that season 3 production is going to start before the end of the year. And he says, we're operating under the assumption that we'll be able to move, or we'll be able to go forward. And he says, we're in a very small situation, and oftentimes we have lots of characters in masks. We also have a lot of digital work that augments things. So we're a show that's probably well equipped to be flexible based on the protocols that are emerging surrounding work restarting. So, as we kind of talked about previously, there's a lot of digital stuff. I mean, Baby Yoda's not really a puppet. That's digital. In the first season, IG-11, digital. Let's be honest. There was most of the time a stunt actor under the helmet of the Mandalorian, and our boy Pedro Pascal just did a lot of VO work for him. So the fact that, you know, a lot of the actors aren't together all the time and that they can kind of do some socially distancing, I think if there's any one production that probably could keep going, this is the one.
Absolutely. They're in the perfect spot.
Yeah, they really are.
And when you've seen the documentary series on Disney Plus, you realize what they're talking about. That vacuum or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Where it's that room of amazing, like, holy crap technology. They don't have to go anywhere.
Yeah.
They can generate anywhere that they want to be, and it'll change like that.
Yep.
And they've got most of those scenes already kind of set. And so you just got to change what's on the screens and create some fight scenes. And obviously there are some times where they can't use that. Obviously, they've got to go on location or they got to go do stunt work and stuff. But Jon Favreau is exactly right. And I was so excited and so happy to hear that. And you can just tell this is his focus right now.
Yeah, this is his baby.
This is what he wants to do.
Yep.
He wants to do Star Wars. And Dave Filoni wants to be there, and he wants to do Star Wars with Jon Favreau.
Yep.
Like, I mean, it's
love
what we
it.
want. It's what we want. This is going to be amazing. I can't freaking wait.
I'm excited. I'm not surprised that they're gonna start immediately filming season 3 and going after that. I mean, that doesn't surprise me, but it is interesting to hear when there's been a lot of production shut down that due to the special circumstances of how this show is filmed, that they're going to be able to keep working. And that's good for everyone that has Disney Plus.
Yeah, it is. And speaking of Disney Plus and Star Wars again.
Wow.
The Lego Star Wars holiday special
Yep.
is set to come out on November 17th on Disney Plus. And we've known that there are going to be all the characters that we know will be in animated Lego form.
Yeah.
We weren't sure who was going to be voicing these characters, but now we know at least 3 of the voices.
Okay.
And they will be Kelly Marie Tran, reprising
Rose
her
Tico.
role as
Yep.
Rose.
Okay.
Billy D. Williams, obviously.
Sure.
And then Anthony Daniels also
C3PO.
obvious.
Yeah. Okay.
And it sounds like from what they mentioned, they were all very excited to be part of this. I mean, who else can do C3PO? Nobody.
Yeah.
Who else can do like an older Billy D. Williams?
Yeah, Lando Calrissian. Yeah.
My son's name. Nobody. Billy D, man, that's pretty exciting. So I mean, they're not going to get Rey. It's just not going to happen. And Finn and Poe, I just don't think they're going to come back for this.
Well, it also kind of sounds like they're, in a way, going to, I don't want to say mock, because that's not right, but maybe like do a little bit of satire, because from what I heard, they're going to kind of redo, in a satirical way, the 1978 holiday special.
Right.
So none of those, like Finn, Rey, Poe, none of them would be there.
They're in this for sure, though.
They're in this for sure, I know, but like from the original. So like what
Big part.
So it could be, hey, let me tell you about the first life day that we celebrated, and then they go back to flashback or something. I mean, it could easily be something like that.
Yeah. Yep. We'll have to see, and we'll have to wait too long. Got about a month from now.
My boys know nothing of this.
Oh, they're gonna be stoked.
And I'm so just waiting in the wings to swoop in, like, look what I've got, boom, and then hit it on Disney Plus and just show it to them. So
that's awesome.
Would Emmy be interested in something like this?
Oh yeah, absolutely. She likes to watch the little Lego Star Wars like shorts and things that they have and shows. So she'd be into it. She'll like it for sure.
Cool. All right, speaking of Star Trek.
Okay.
So Star Trek Discovery, the 3rd season just barely started, okay?
Right. Yep.
I'm not going to watch it for a little while because personally I've just gotten so used to the stream everything, that I'll wait a bit. So I'm going to wait a bit on this show. But to this shock and surprise of no one, they have greenlit a 4th season for Star Trek Discovery. Now, you got to know that like we're kind of right now in this like a golden age of like Star Trek shows, because you've got Discovery, Picard was really big. We've got the Star Trek Lower Decks, the animated one that's going on. There's just a lot kind of going on. They've talked about some spin-offs potentially. But they've announced that season 4 is going to go. They've talked about doing Star Trek up to at least 2027. The nice thing is that CBS is saying publicly is that they will not be changing the showrunner like they did between season 2 and season 3, which caused some delays and kind of made some of that slow down some of the things that needed to happen. That's not going to happen. So the showrunner for season 3 is going to be the same showrunner for season 4. So
nice.
It's good news in the Star Trek world. I'm excited. Like I said, season 3 would have had to have been a train wreck in order for there not to be a green light for season 4. But we're getting a season 4 of Discovery.
Nice. That's awesome for all the Star Trekkers out there.
Yes.
If I had access, I guess I might watch it, but I don't really understand CBS All Access. All right.
Yep.
So I've got some news from my childhood.
Okay.
Something I loved so much growing up. Many a Halloween was dressed as the Red Ranger from Power Rangers. And we now have news that the Power Rangers are getting new movies and a TV series in their own Power Rangers universe from
Okay.
the co-creator of the Netflix show I'm Not Okay With This. I have not seen I'm Not Okay With This. Have you?
I have no clue what that even is.
I looked it up because I didn't know. And it's about a girl with superpowers and stuff.
Okay.
I don't know much about it, obviously, but it got great reviews. It did get canceled due to COVID, they said, after one season.
Fair.
So maybe
Fair.
maybe just wasn't good. I don't actually know.
Hmm.
However, we are getting new Power Rangers, and I could not be more happy and more excited. I'm very interested because in these interviews with the co-creator and Hasbro and kind of talking about what they want to do, they want it to be, like what's popular now, a universe where
Yeah.
the stories make sense together and the movies make sense with it because I loved Power Rangers. I loved the old movie from like 1997. I loved this last movie that came out in like 2017. And then it just kind of died. And I'm glad that it's going to be
Hmm.
given new life. My hope is they follow the same vein of that 2017 film where it was like a decent PG-13, where that they were catering to dads in their 30s now who grew up on this and we
Right.
still love it and there's a passion for it and there's good stories to be told. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see because they keep talking about storytelling, story arcs, and I'm like, a little kid doesn't care about that.
Hmm.
So we'll see.
I know nothing about Power Rangers. I think Nick Saban had to do something with it, or something. There was like a Saban name on it. There's the Power Rangers, and there was like
There was.
Nick Saban's Power Rangers. I don't think it's Nick Saban. I think Nick Saban's like a football coach from like Alabama or something, or Georgia, which you can tell I'm not a college football
No, you
guy.
are showing. You
No,
were right
I
the
don't.
first time.
Roll Tide, Nick Saban.
Alabama.
Okay, Alabama, whatever, sure.
Alabama is correct.
He was a coach there, right? Nick
But it
Saban.
was Saban's. He's still there.
Okay.
He's the greatest college football coach perhaps ever. But
Eh,
moving on.
I couldn't argue with you because I don't know any others, but I'm just gonna admit, I don't know. Maybe you're right. Who knows?
Urban Meyer, but anyway,
Uh,
moving on.
So yeah. So like I know that I know like a little bit of the song. I just like it kind of fell at a time where like I had kind of moved on in some of my TV watching habits and with my
Yeah.
age, but like I just missed that window on Power Rangers, and like we've talked about way too often now at this point in my life, I got too much going on. I'm not going to go back to try to like watch a show from like the 90s that was meant for kids to try to like kind of get refreshed. So maybe you and I will have to talk sometime off the podcast. You're going to have to tell me what the Power Rangers are, what they do, like what's the like
I'm
the
sure
nuts and
they'll
bolts.
reboot it. You probably won't have to know anything. There were so many storylines and timelines with the Power Rangers and the different types of Rangers that they were and who was in charge and what their like Megazords were. I mean, it's all very different from each season or from each
Okay.
TV series. So
Okay.
I'm sure they'll throw all that out the window and it'll just start anew. But anyway, I'm excited about it.
Oh, well, I'm sure it's going to be very popular. I'm sure it's going to hit
sure
that
will.
nostalgia. It's kind of like the Cobra Kai show, right? Like
Yeah.
Karate Kid was huge for me, so it's very nostalgic. So Cobra Kai, besides being a really good show, hits that nostalgia right in the feels, and so like it's gonna work. And I'm sure this new version of Nick Saban's Power Rangers will be the exact same thing.
Right. Yep.
I think so. I assume. So the last thing I have. Oh gosh, Matt, I don't even know like where to start with this. So last week we had a conversation during Rebel Intelligence about this casting rumor or casting news about Jamie Foxx's Electro. Then a couple days after we recorded, there was some other casting news that leaked that Sony didn't respond to right away. And what we heard is that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are both rumored heavily to be cast in this upcoming Spider-Man movie, which we're tentatively calling Spider-Man 3 for the MCU. But Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, which, of course, we're already speculating heavily on the podcast and amongst the Super Friends that it's a multiverse timeline. We know Doctor Strange is going to be a part of it. So it's like, okay, we're talking multiverse.
Right.
And that would make sense for Electro. It could make sense for a few other things. But then I saw Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield and I went, holy crap. If they pull that off, then we're off to the races with the multiverse, obviously.
Yeah.
So Sony goes a couple days. And finally, Sony addressed the casting rumor. And this is their response. And I quote, "Those rumored castings are not confirmed." That's it. I'm like, what? Like, if you're trying to keep this hidden, you say, no, that is not accurate. We have not cast those actors in those roles. You have those actors say, Sony, like, I haven't talked to Sony in X number of years. I haven't been on a Sony call sheet for Spider-Man in, a decade, whatever, right? Tobey Maguire needs to be like, hey, I haven't acted in anything in like a decade, so I'm now a rancher in Montana. You put out something that's more definitive. If you're really trying to throw people off the track, like you gotta do something. But just say those casting rumors are not confirmed, dude. Like, that just literally all but says to me, like,
it's
crap.
Definitely happening.
It's happening, and we got caught, and now too many things are going to be inferred from this. So here's my question to you, Matt. This is really interesting to me because we know that DC is doing the Flashpoint, and they're going to have this multiverse, and we're going to get the Batfleck version of Batman. We know we're getting the Michael Keaton version of Batman. And we know that old Christian Bale said that if Christopher Nolan was okay with it, he would appear in that. Now, on the other side, we're getting Spider-Man potentially doing a multiverse with the Spider-Man. And which one's going to drop first? If I'm a guessing person, I'm going to say it's probably going to be the MCU Spider-Man.
Yeah.
If we have two major movies featuring multiverse with multiple actors coming back, and it's MCU versus DC, if you're just quick glancing, who do you think does this better?
Obviously, it's MCU.
I agree with you, but gosh darn it, I want it to be like a neck. Like, I want to watch these and be like neck and neck and be like, the DC version with the Flash movie was an amazing Flash movie, and all the Batmans was amazing.
Yeah.
And then the Spider-Man 3 with all the Spider-Mans was amazing. Like, I want it to I want the fans to win this one.
Yeah, I hear you.
But if I have to put money down, the MCU is going to do this better. I hate that. I want the Super Friends to win. I want fans to win. But gosh, that old Sony, man. They got to cover their tracks better. Just saying.
I don't know who's in charge of the PR team, and it's because that's a mess. Yep. Because to you and me and to anyone who reads that just all but confirms,
for sure,
that they are trying to do a multiverse movie. And if they're not, and that was just a lazy response, and they didn't think through it, they're going to get raked over the coals if we don't get Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire in the movie.
Unless this is like a red herring ultimate, like head nod one direction, fake out the other one hard because they're going to do something else. I mean, part of me goes, okay, putting together a Sinister Six movie and doing a multiverse to bring in the different Spider-Mans, because there's, all of the Sinister Six trying to fight one Spider-Man and he's just getting his behind handed to him. Like, that would work great. Anyway, I don't want to dive too far into this because, once again, it is a little unconfirmed rumor, although come on, sorry.
Right.
But gosh darn it, I'm this prospect has me I think the only thing in the MCU that could excite me more is when we start really getting into when do the X-Men cross over and come into play.
Right.
I really think so.
Hey, man, in the next 10 years, they're all going to be playing together, and it's going to be wild.
And then Hugh Jackman's going to show up, and the party's going to be on. Anyway.
And William Dafoe, they're all going to be there.
That was the last thing I had in Rebel Intelligence. Do you have anything else?
I do.
Ooh, nice. What do you got?
I have one more thing. And ladies and gentlemen, today, on Tuesday, it has finally been confirmed. We are getting a sequel Willow series on Disney Plus.
Hold on, wait a second. Peter Christensen, are you listening? Go ahead again, Matt.
This he already knows this. You kidding me?
Oh, that's right.
He already knows this. This airs on Thursday. He already knows. This is so exciting for me. So exciting.
Yeah.
And the possibilities, and of course, Warwick Davis is back.
Nice.
That's all we know. We don't know anybody else. We don't know who of the original cast is going to return, if any. You hope so, but you don't need to. For me, it doesn't. I don't.
You
need
just
more.
need Willow.
Yep, and that's what I need. But this takes place obviously years after, and that's all we know.
Mm-hmm.
So the excitement level is high. Ron Howard is officially attached to the project, and I'm like, what? Ron Howard's making a Disney Plus show with Lucasfilm about Willow? Oh my gosh.
Yep.
I am going to lose my mind. So it's going to be, I'm so excited. It's going to be directed by John Chu, who did Crazy Rich Asians, which was a fantastic, funny, emotional movie. So, man,
nice.
I'm just smiling ear to ear when I saw that today. I went, "Oh, this is going in Rebel Intelligence," and I'm glad we recorded on Tuesday instead of Monday.
Oh yeah, me too. Any idea you think when that'll actually hit Disney Plus?
Well, with Disney, I mean, to me, here's what I think about this whole Disney Plus thing and why this is now greenlit is I think this is directly a result from Bob Chapek saying we are going to pivot and focus more on Disney Plus.
Right, yeah.
And I think he said, I've got all of these shows I can do. Let's greenlight 10 of them. And I think this is one of the big ones that he wanted to greenlight, but they couldn't yet until they figured out how they wanted to pivot. And then that's what I think. I think this is in direct correlation to his recent announcement last week. Now, when we're going to get it, fetch. I don't know. Like COVID could be here for 6 years. I don't know.
Ooh.
People are finding ways to make shows and movies, though. If they're able to somehow use the same, I mean, it's going to be ILM that does the special effects, and they've already got the Mandalorian on lockdown, and they can make any scene anywhere happen. Why not shoot Willow that way, and then do some stuff on set as well? Willow has to be more practical than Mandalorian does.
Yeah, for sure.
Just has to be to be able to have the adventure and the large kind of vast feel that you get in that movie. But dude, I'm hoping for a release in 2022. That's my hope.
Okay.
Is early mid 2022. I think they can do it. I think they can. It's like a 10 episode series. Oh, come on, please. Oh my gosh.
It'll be good. It will be good. And I'm excited for it. I know the Super Friends and a super friend in particular is going to be way stoked for this. So well, you know what, maybe we'll have to do a Willow movie club in preparation for this. Yeah,
we've got to.
I like that idea.
Stoked.
Okay, Matt, well, let's move on. So last week we had an episode and we talked about the idea of like media that we loved at one point that like now we can't go back to anymore, and then other media that we can go back to. And we asked the Super Friends for something that they couldn't go back to, and then something that they can go back to again.
Okay, yeah.
And so we're going to read those answers, read a few of the answers. We're going to start over with the email like we always do, fortivenerd@gmail.com. And we've got Peter Christensen. He says, "Dear nerds, I had crumble cookies when I visited my family in Utah this year. I love a big soft cookie, like Granny B's Big Pink Sugar Cookie. So they were right up my alley. I had to cut it in quarters, eat one, and then throw away the rest. I did not want to deal with the temptation of cookies the size of a Fuddruckers hamburger patty.
Sure.
Makes sense. I get it. He says, I'm continuing my march through Marvel Netflix, finishing Daredevil Season 2 this week. The Punisher part is outstanding, with 2 scenes from the middle of the season that took my breath away, even though I knew they were coming. The second half with the Yakuza and the Hand fell flat, like I remembered, and I realized why this time. The strength of these shows is the depth and complexity of the characters, the conflicts, the dialogue. That and the bone-crunching action. But the Hand had neither. The organization was presented as an evil mystery, so you never got talked into understanding their side like you did with Wilson Fisk, Kilgrave, or Frank Castle. He fights waves of masked, nameless foot soldiers with swords, and since you're pretty sure Daredevil isn't going to get killed or get his hands cut off, the stakes are lower. Next up is Luke Cage Season 1, which, if I remember correctly, is amazing in the first half and flat in the second half as well. Sweet Christmas. As a follow-up to Doctor Strange taking over the leadership mantle from Tony Stark, it also makes sense given how instrumental they both were in fighting Thanos. In Infinity War, Iron Man and Doctor Strange each fought Thanos one-on-one, and everyone else attacked with help from Doctor Strange's portals or platforms. In Endgame, Doctor Strange brought the army, and Tony made the sacrifice play. Captain America may have been the inspirational leader, but those two were the tip of the spear. I'm glad to hear that Soul will be released on Disney Plus for free. Onward got a huge boost from that, and I don't think any numbers have been released, but it's safe to assume that the $30 Mulan Premium Access did not work well. We bought it, and since then, no one in my house has cared or even asked to watch it a second time. Yeah, that's not good. It says, I also had experience with the WWF. I watched it as a little kid and enjoyed it, but didn't take much away from it. I think I knew the characters as much from the merchandising and video games as from the show. I revisited it in high school and got more into it then. This was when Hulk Hogan was in the WWE, so the WWF had an odd mix of characters like Shawn Michaels, I think he means WCW, was in WCW. So the odd mix of characters like Shawn Michaels, Big Daddy Cool, Diesel, Razor Ramon, Bret Hart, along with some veterans like The Undertaker, British Bulldog, Legion of Doom, and a brief but glorious return of my favorite, The Ultimate Warrior. He says, do yourself a huge favor and look up The Ultimate Warrior's interviews with Arsenio Hall and Regis and Kathy Lee. What a magnificent psycho. And trust me, I was all up in that world for a lot of time, Peter. The Ultimate Warrior couldn't give an interview to save his life. He could not cut a promo. Anyway, he says, this will come as no surprise to Super Friends, but I just can't do video games. Growing up, I loved playing games like Dragon Warrior and Final Fantasy, but part of that was that kids have a lot of time to fill. Now, between work, family, health, and hobbies, I'm trying to claw back time. I'd rather watch an awesome story in a 2-hour movie than play through a 10 to 100 hour video game. I still enjoy driving games, but even then, business models in modern games, at least mobile games, make the games about careers and upgrades rather than just sitting down to race. For me at least, old sitcoms that I watched hundreds of hours of as a kid are unbearable now, compared to the tighter, more intense nature of the TV shows today, both drama and comedy. One thing that I love going back to is movies from my childhood. Not only do I still love them, but I get to experience them with my kids. Movies like Willow, The Princess Bride, Star Wars, Transformers the movie, Disney's Robin Hood, Sword in the Stone, etc. I love that my kids know these movies. I feel like the late 70s, early 80s, driven by Lucasfilm, effects technologies and techniques advanced to the point where these movies hold up today. A 30 to 40-year-old movie from my childhood still seems fresh, while 20-year-old movies when I was a kid might have been a black and white talkie. Thanks for the trip down memory lane. Cheers, Peter Christensen.
Nice.
I like it.
Nice. I'll tell you this. He mentioned watching those movies with his kids. Emmy has been begging me to watch Ghostbusters.
Really?
Begging me to watch Ghostbusters. So you know what? I'm going to let her watch Ghostbusters.
You know,
Jesse doesn't want me to.
Here's the thing.
You know what? She's going to watch it.
Yeah, here's the thing. A lot of the comedy is going to go right over her head. So
yeah, she's not there for the comedy.
No, I understand that. A lot of the comedy, a lot of the dialogue is just going to go right over her head.
Yeah.
But all the ghost busting part of it, all the action part of it, she's going to enjoy because it's exciting action still.
It is. It's a little scary. Zool.
Yeah.
All that crap.
Yeah, that and the demon dogs.
And, it's scary, but you know what? If you tell her it's silly, she thinks it's great.
Yeah, good Poochie. Good Poochie.
Afraid.
Yeah, I think she'll be fine.
I think so too.
I say that also because I don't have to put her to bed at night after she's watched that.
She'll be fine. She'll be fine.
Oh, good. All right, let's move on to Twitter, where you can find us at Fort of Nerd. We've got El Spooko at Gizpika. He says, I went back and tried to watch Beast Wars because it was awesome. But man, it looks so bad. However, T-Rex Megatron forever the GOAT. Another one I hope I never have to go back to is Lord of the Rings. That already wasted 11 hours of my life that I won't get back. Don't need to do that ever again.
Troll.
I gotta say, I understand how it's not for everyone, but I also know balls, and I think that's a dagger to the heart here. I think he's trolling us intentionally.
That's painful.
It hurts.
And hurtful.
It hurts every time I read it, and I've read it like 3 times.
Did I tell y'all that finally, this should have been in the news of the week. I don't know if it's this week or last week, that Sean Astin made a video announcing that they're finally releasing the Lord of the Rings in 4K HDR.
Ooh.
And they were all over, getting sold out, people buying them up. I got my pre-order. I was so excited. I've been waiting for this for so long. They kept teasing it. And apparently Peter Jackson oversaw the whole thing. They allegedly redid the special effects as well.
Really?
So I'm pretty stoked on this. I'm not gonna lie. December 1st it comes out. But I was pretty excited. I mean, they also did The Hobbit, but who effing cares about The Hobbit movies?
I probably won't get this December 1st, but just knowing that may be what pushes me over the edge to replace our living room TV with a 4K.
Yep.
Because otherwise, like I don't need 4K anything yet. Anyway, El Spooko at Gizpick goes on, says, one I can always go back to is Pokemon games. It's just like going back home. It's just nice and comforting. Hashtag Squirtle Squad for life. Also, NBA Street Volume 2 on the GameCube specifically is comfort food for my gaming soul.
Nice. All right.
I like that. Matt, you're Squirtle Squad, right?
I mean, yeah, if I have to choose between the originals that I'm given, it's Squirtle every time.
All right. Hashtag
who
Squirtle
chooses
Squad.
Bulbasaur? Stupid people choose Bulbasaur.
Apparently some people do. Back on Twitter. Berta Bay Butters at Dantes_Belma. He says, usually avoid revisiting twist-centric stories as the novelty wears off. I usually have something playing on in the background, mostly comedies or something lighthearted. Also, I have never rewatched a sports game. I've watched old classic games only when I haven't watched them before, and is something like a classic, like World Cup Finals comes to mind. So I gotta say that, like, I don't watch a lot of old sports games over again, but like I've got a DVD collection from like the Bulls championship run. I'll put that in again because it's like highlights and some interviews and, you know, kind of the story about all the drama that the Bulls went through to overcome the Pistons in the 90s to finally get to the finals and then their incredible run. I've got a Blu-ray of the Cubs 2016 World Series run, and like I went to those World Series. Like I will watch that, but I wouldn't watch all 7 games of that World Series again. Like I wouldn't
Yeah,
do that. But I'll
I
watch Game
get that.
7. I'll watch that Game 7 again.
Sure, sure. Yeah,
Oof,
I'll rewatch a whole game. Easy.
really?
Every the weeks building up to college football, I'll sit down and I'll watch 3 or 4 of the BYU football games from the previous season for sure. Every year.
Hmm.
So I'll
Wow.
rewatch them. I'll rewatch them the same week actually.
Okay.
If it was a good game that week on Wednesday, I'll put it on while I'm working.
Hmm.
I love it. But it only football. I don't watch it for, or only college football. I should even qualify further. Other sports, I don't really rewatch ever.
Highlights. I'm good with highlights on sports, but not
Highlights are great, man.
yeah, but not like
No
necessarily like
shame.
full games or full
The
series.
whole broadcast, yeah, I
Yeah,
get it.
yeah, yeah. Like I said,
I
Game
get it.
7 of the World Series in 2016 when the Cubs win, I could rewatch that only because, gosh, when you start getting towards the end of that game, it like the whole thing, innings were highlights. I mean, just it was nuts. It was
Yeah.
crazy. Anyway,
Yeah.
thank you, Super Friends, for your answers. We greatly, greatly appreciate them. Each and every week, it is the highlight of the show. We love interacting with you. Matt, our Super Friends are out there. They're helping us every week. They're showing up to watch us record live on Twitch.
Mhm.
They're listening to the podcast. They are retweeting our social media and sharing it out. What else can they do?
Man, they're doing a lot.
They
And I
are.
know every one of them, they do it every week. And I'm so grateful. But YouTube is a new platform for us. So
Yep.
continue to subscribe, like, comment, and hit the notification bell so you know when we go live. And that is what you can do for us. Now, a little extra something that I was thinking about. Today, I stumbled on YouTube. They're recommended. They'll recommend something for like 25 years ago sometimes. And you're
Sure.
like, I don't know why, but you're right. I do want to watch this.
Yeah.
And the first thing that was recommended to me today was a reaction video and or watching somebody play through Breath of the Wild's first hour for the first time. Somebody
Ooh.
who'd never played a Zelda game and was kind of a PlayStation guy.
Okay.
And I thought, well, this could be interesting. I'm curious what this individual thinks.
Yeah.
And it was like playing it again for the first time, watching him. And when you go out of the cave and the music comes up and you just see the vast world ahead of you, and the guy's jaw just drops. And so it made me want to play that game again, even just to have a few of those moments. So if you've got some time, load up just the first hour of Breath of the Wild to reappreciate the story and the setup, the learning, that tutorial area of the Great Plateau, and just let your heart soar when you get that paraglider.
Yeah.
And close your eyes, pick a direction, and just play. It reminded me how much I love it and how much I can't freaking wait for Nintendo to finally drop more information about the sequel. That's all.
And if you want, you can also do a speed run and beat the game in less than an hour.
I say good luck. If you can beat the game in less than 1 hour, I will give you $100.
Wow.
That's how confident I am.
You know,
that
there's
none
a
of the
thing
Super
called
Friends can do
Google,
that.
and people can look up how to actually do that.
They won't. There's no chance. I could barely beat Ganon when I had all of the divine beasts
Yeah.
helping me, and
All
like 200 hours into the game.
All right.
So
All
good
right.
luck.
All right.
Happy hunting.
Well, Matt has thrown down the challenge. If you speed run it in less than an hour, he'll pay you
Yeah.
$100, Super Friends.
There
How
you
about
go.
that?
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have some sort of video proof. It's
Oh,
gonna have to be
of course.
documented. Yeah.
Guinness needs to be there. to verify.
Notarized. Yeah. All the things.
Yep.
I love it, Matt. All right, so Matt, we are in this interesting time because we are coming up on your favorite holiday.
Whoop, whoop.
So,
Halloween. Well, let's be fair.
okay,
Christmas is,
second favorite holiday?
I mean, it's right up there. It's like 1A Christmas, 1B Halloween.
That means second. Gotcha.
They're like really close.
One's got to be 1 and one's got to be 2.
It's hurtful.
Okay.
But yeah, you're right.
So your second favorite holiday.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna say that a few times because I know it's hurting your soul. It's
It
ripping
really
it's ripping you
is.
apart. It's almost like Balls saying or Giz Pika on Twitter saying that Lord of the Rings, 11 hours of wasted time. That rips my soul. This rips your soul. But we wanted to talk about something that was Halloween centric this week because next week we're gonna do a movie club that's Halloween centric. So we're gonna double up, Super Friends. You're gonna get 2 weeks of holiday Halloween themed podcasts.
Yeah, baby.
So, in the spirit of COVID-19 and all the things that are kind of just going on right now, and things are crazy, and everyone's talking about I'm doing this and I'm not doing this, or maybe we thought we'd cut through all of that, and we would actually talk about some things that you can do to stay safe as options. And you choose for yourself. Like Super Friends, we're not going to tell you what to do. You are capable, smart people. You choose what you want to do. But we thought it'd be fun to kind of talk about a few of these things, and if there's a way we can spin it for, our theme of the podcast, nerd and pop culture, then by all means, we will try to do that.
Try. Very unsuccessful.
I mean, maybe not. So Matt,
We'll see.
what is something that the Super Friends could do this Halloween season to celebrate?
Well, I asked Charles and Hadley what their local guidance was. They're in Washington, where it's quite a bit more strict. Not as many things are open. It's not California,
Right?
But it's a bit more strict in what their local leaders have advised them to do. And they're only doing like a drive-through trick-or-treating experience where they can go through a certain neighborhood from like 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. and there will be like candy chutes, like PVC pipe that people will drop candy into your car, and you just drive around and receive candy.
Okay.
That's one thing that I've seen a few places doing is kind of a drive-through trick or treating.
Interesting. So the idea is your PVC is 6 feet long,
right? Or you just crack the window, and is the virus gonna go down a chute? In all honesty, it's probably not.
Sure.
But if you want to be extra careful, that is something you can do. I'd say that's on the more extreme side of activities you're very likely to be safe participating in.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I like this idea. You're going to pitch ideas, and then I'm going to be the crazy guy who's going to be like, how do we ramp this up? How do we make this better? So, Super Friends, just off the top of my head, Matt and I have not worked this out, so I'm hearing this the first time. If you got a piece of PVC and you're going to they're going to roll down their window, you're going to put it there, instead of having to lift that thing, that's too much work. Your shoulders are going to get a workout. You don't need that kind of hassle.
Oh yeah.
Take your leaf blower, put that little mini Snickers on there, put the leaf blower up to the thing, and then flick the on switch and just shoot that thing like you're Tim Allen from Home Improvement. Arr, 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 more power. Right into their car window, and probably break the other window on the way out.
Wow.
I'm just saying.
That's not a safe activity, the glass shards alone.
But I'm saying, though, that's going to be a fast, rapid delivery system for candy.
That definitely is. Okay, that's a good call.
I'm just saying.
That's a good call.
If you got a leaf blower and you got a piece of PVC pipe, that means, boom, that's easy.
Yeah.
Everyone wins. Well,
that's true.
The broken window guy, not so much. But
right.
Can you? Okay, first of all, can you imagine if anyone does this? I'm literally telling people to make little Snickers projectile or little, I don't know, Reese's peanut butter cups that are going to be flying at 60 miles an hour.
Yeah, man, I like it.
Maybe put a little mud flap on the other end so it hits that thing and then drops out and I don't know.
That's a good idea.
I don't want to injure anyone. I don't want to.
Right. Of course not. But
Come on. But I like that idea though, Matt.
Yeah, so I'll get back to the real ideas because that's my job tonight, apparently.
Okay, yeah.
Um, no, I actually looked up certain areas of the country to see legitimately like what their leaders have told them to do because it's the virus is at various stages in certain areas of the country, and I know it's going up apparently in quite a few places, and in some places that peak has seemingly already happened and they're not seeing a more spike. So in our area, I will tell you what our guidance is now.
Okay.
As we are labeled as a low or minimal risk area, um, our leaders have said that we can do trick or treating, but they advise that if you can, don't have kids coming up to your door, walking back and forth. Stay outside, like at the end of your driveway,
Mm-hmm.
with a table, and you're wearing a mask as the candy giver outer,
Yeah.
and you have candy laid out on a table
Ooh.
that they can grab one and move on, and they don't touch any other candies.
Okay.
Or you can make it fun and have them hanging from things. They can come up and grab something hanging from a tree, and that way the
Yes.
candy's separated too, and no one's putting their hands in a bowl. Um, and that way the kids can still go around and do trick or treating, and everyone's safe and happy.
That's actually smart. Like, okay, so like I'm thinking like if you're doing that from like a tree or something, like you'd have like little strings with maybe like little like clothespin clips or something so that you
Yes,
could they
exactly.
could come and they could take the
Easy
piece of candy
exchange.
and then you could come back
Yes.
and reload the thing.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I like that. Now if we're gonna tweak this up a bit and we're gonna take it to a fun extreme
Yeah.
or something,
Sure.
um would you like maybe create some sort of like lever system with like a rod attached to like a some sort of rod so like you could like swing it back and forth so like the candy is now like a swinging pendulum that they've got
Like a pinata?
not kind of like a pinata. I'm thinking more of like a pendulum, so they got to come up and like try to time it just right to grab it.
Oh,
Something
okay.
because here's the thing, right? Like we're we're trying to find like ways to like make it exciting, right? In our household, we're talking about some of the different options that we've discussed because like we still want the boys to have these fun experiences but still safe experiences. And so like I feel like if you can make it something out of the ordinary, something different so that it's memorable, they'll be like, oh yeah, we went to the house that had all that swinging candy from the tree branches and you had to like time it just right in order to grab it, and if you missed it you had to
Yeah.
try again, like something like
Yep.
that.
Yep. Yep. There are a lot of ways you can get creative this year.
Yeah.
That would be pretty fun, I think.
Okay.
As far as it goes with handing out candy, they also said if you're going to have like a bowl of candy that you want kids to be able to reach into, you need to have a hand sanitizer station
Ooh.
that they use before they put their hand into the candy bowl. That way, every hand is sanitized. And that seems like a little bit difficult. I'd rather just have candy laid out that they can just grab one and go so that
Sure.
there's no hand sanitizer needing to be used at that moment. Um, but that's another option that at least our local leaders mention as a possibility. Um, and then one of the things that I've read a lot about, particularly out there in the Pacific Northwest where things are still pretty shut down, is virtual like costume parades for kids
Yeah.
where like your community will have like a basically a big video call and your kids will all pop up on all of these screens around the neighborhood, and your kids can do like a almost like a modeling show where they get to
Yes.
show
Yeah.
off their costumes and everybody gets to see
Kind of
it and
like a
everybody
cosplay competition at the end of a con.
right, exactly. So this little costume parade for the children, and that's cute. I think that's fun.
I love that idea.
um
Now,
if you're
if I'm gonna tweak it, here's what I'm gonna do. And this isn't gonna be crazy, but have them do that, but like play some music when each kid does it and have them like do some like little dance or whatever, and then create like little virtual awards, right? Like some sort of like little like, hey, you won this, and like, you know, maybe if you're the tech guru in the neighborhood and you're putting together this Zoom call, create like little like virtual stickers or something so that you can take like snapshots of each one of the kids and then like drop that like trophy for like #1 best dance, or like, you know, bust a move trophy, you know, or like best, you know, duo or whatever, and then like take that screenshot, slap that sticker on it, and then email the family that picture so that they can print that out or put it in their digital photo album or something like that.
Yeah. That sounds like a lot of work, but certainly something that's doable by somebody in your neighborhood who's way more passionate than they should be about
your
these
friendly
things.
Neighborhood IT man.
Yeah, you know, well, I guess him too. There are certainly ways to, take things above and beyond. I think an obvious answer that has been kind of ruled out, at least here, as something that's not really that great or safe, is this trunk or treating.
Yeah.
Which is essentially trick or treating, because in a traditional trunk or treat, you've got a bunch of cars in a parking lot and it's just less walking.
Right.
Is basically what it is. I mean, I guess you could do like a really, really spaced out parking lot if you wanted to and try and do that.
So
they're discouraged here. Trunk or treats are discouraged just because there's a lot of people in a much smaller space than kids walking around a whole neighborhood.
Right. However, I will say, like, from this back in the summer when we did the drive-in movie theater, if you put one car parking stall in between each car, you're about 6 feet apart. So like you could line a whole bunch of cars up like that and then just have the kids go down, and you could do kind of a combination of like the thing you were talking about, like put it on a table and have kids grab it and just like have stuff out there so they can grab it without having to touch things. That's completely doable. I think that's a doable thing, but I agree with you. Like, depending on where you're at, you may have that option, you may not have that option.
You gotta have access to a decent sized parking lot. That's the only thing. You could certainly do it in a decent sized parking lot, certainly, as an option. And I know that that's always popular. Every year, neighborhoods do trunk or treats in churches and stuff like that, where they do,
car dealerships and
those types of things.
Yeah.
Now, my next situation here. What if you just don't feel comfortable? You just don't. You don't want to participate in the holiday, let's just say.
Okay.
And there will be people out there like that. And we're not saying you're bad or bah humbug. It's a weird year. We get it. If you're in a place where the transmission rate is crazy and you're like, it just ain't worth it.
Right.
I'd rather my kids, whatever. This has been highly advised. And I think this is common knowledge across the country, but I want to say it anyway. Turn off your lights.
Yeah.
Turn off your porch light, turn off your garage little light if you can, and turn off any holiday lights you have outside. Make it so it's very clear, we don't want you this year. Come back next year. Or you could even put a sign, they say, on your door that says, no candy, please come back next year.
Yep.
Well, kind of like a we'd love to have you. You don't want to be like a jerk and be like, get off my freaking lawn.
Right.
Like,
listen here, you little super spreader. Yeah, no, you don't want to do that.
No, but just make it very, very clear to any adult human being who's taking their kids trick-or-treating that this is probably not a house that we should be knocking on.
Right.
I think maybe as a general rule, you probably don't want to be knocking on doors anyway. I don't know. It depends on where you are locally. Some people will still be doing the knocking on doors thing.
The no porch light, the no lights coming visibly from the house is always and has always been the universal symbol for we're not home or we're not trick-or-treating. I've known that since I was a kid. My parents knew that when they were kids. Like, if you don't want to participate, turn your lights off. Don't be home. Stay in part of that. Like, we're not saying like you gotta like hide in your house, but turn the porch lights off. If you got a front room, turn that light off. Something along those lines. I get that.
Yep. make it clear so nobody's uncomfortable
I
with
actually
what's
like,
happening.
Matt, the idea of putting up a sign too, if you're gonna do that. Say like, hey, due to the current COVID situation, uh, we're not available this year, but look for us next year. We will be back. Something like that.
Yeah.
That's fairly straightforward. I like
Yep.
that.
Yep. Making sure people don't think you're just a jerk.
Right.
The the other thing that we've been instructed again is that traditional Halloween masks do not qualify
Hmm.
as your COVID mask. And so if you and your family are going to go trick or treating with your children, they ask that at a reasonable age, and you choose whatever that reasonable age is. Basically, if your kid will keep a mask on, please have them in a mask. And
Yeah.
then certainly you as adults should be wearing masks as you're taking your children trick or treating or
Sure.
as you're outside giving children candy, even though you may not be within 6 feet, you may be. Just wearing a mask is always a safe bet and it makes people more comfortable. So that was the specific guidance as that pertains to masks. Halloween masks are not close.
Right.
They're not enough.
Right. Yep.
You got to wear double masks.
Something we worked like something's gonna go on like in our neighborhood. Is everyone wants to do a Halloween parade, so that basically
Okay.
like the kids can all kind of like get dressed up and then like maybe like walk down like one of the streets or one of the sidewalks, and then have like all the families kind of in the neighborhood show up in space 6 feet apart. So like we got one that kind of like loops around as a big loop, or one that's kind of big and long, that goes down through our neighborhood, and then
Mhm.
everyone can kind of come and like take a spot 6 feet away, and then like have the kids just kind of like walk down the sidewalk, and then like people like in a parade will throw the candy onto the sidewalks, and so that the kids can can then pick it up and put it in their bags as a way to like not have
Right.
to do all that, which of course once again like there's still some touching involved and whatnot. So if you have a leaf blower, you can use that leaf blower method, or if you got one of those t-shirt guns, I bet you could pack a bunch of
Oh,
candy into one of those and then boom.
yeah.
So you could dump like directly from the bag into the t-shirt cannon gun and then pop, and you could probably spread some candy that way as well.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
Just saying, it's an
I think
idea.
that's a great idea. Um, the the other thing that we talked about, because Emmy gets so excited for Halloween so early, and
Hmm.
we've been telling her, like, Emmy, we're not sure what's going to happen this year. We don't know. Nothing had come out from the federal government or
Right.
any of the other health experts on what we should or shouldn't be doing. And so we were preparing her by saying, look, Emmy, there's not going to be a Halloween party at church this year. There's not going to be,
Yeah.
there may or may not be trick or treating. But if there's not, like, we're going to do really fun trick or treating like in our house. So we thought that we'd shut all the doors in our house and Emmy could knock on each door and we'd be dressed up in some costume, me, Jesse, and we'd just be switching around, running between rooms
Okay.
and having candy that we could give to Emmy so that she had something to
Something.
do. Or if you have a family that you're close with that you've kind of been quarantining with,
Uh-huh.
that you've like your kids play together during this. I know that we have a family that we're comfortable with inviting to our home right now. Um, have them come over and their kids, and everybody's got kind of a door and a station, and you try and make it as fun as you can, decorating your
Yeah.
doors inside and doing your own little home centered Halloween party.
I like that home trick-or-treating idea. That's a cool idea. Like maybe if
Yeah,
you didn't have enough people that could like man all the little doors, like maybe you put like little bowls so that the kids can like grab from some of them, and it'll like take
right.
one or whatever, and
Yeah.
that's a good idea. We also heard the idea about like having a Halloween part, like if you're not going to go out and trick or treat, because either it's not advised or you've made the decision not to, to do like a Halloween party so that you can make like some sort of fun dinner, some sort of like a stew in a bread bowl type of idea, something because it could be cold or where you're at. Or you could do like little like hot dogs wrapped in like biscuit dough to make them look like little mummies and things like that, and like do like foods or treats that are kind of Halloween themed. And then you might, like traditionally you'll see like the bobbing for apples at a party, or like the little donuts on the string, or ring toss, or a cakewalk, pie walk, something like that. Like you could do like little mini versions of that inside your house, just amongst your family, so that you're still creating these fun memories for your family. Or if you're not like in a family situation, it's just you, maybe have, like you said, like a family come over, or friends that come over that like you trust, you've been kind of quarantining with, are following social distancing protocols, and you can do something amongst your friends like that as well.
Right. Yep. Agreed.
And then of course there's the old standby: watch a Halloween type of movie together.
Of course, throw on Hocus Pocus. That's our go-to. That's our on Halloween movie.
Oh, really?
That's the on Halloween night at about 7:00, 7:30. We put that on, and Jesse and I watch it, and it is great. So that's our tradition of what movie we watch on Halloween: Hocus Pocus every year.
Okay. Do you have any other ideas that we should present as options?
Yeah, I really thought about it, and I'm sure that there are just a million ideas, and there will be some really creative people who will come up with these awesome ideas in the next couple of days and weeks that families can implement and use. And some people use them, some people won't. And I am sure that if you live in a neighborhood, you will have trick-or-treaters, unless you live in California, Washington, or Oregon. You'll probably have trick-or-treaters. So I think just being prepared, and if you're not comfortable, turn off your lights. If you're cool with it, you do what you want. Our local people say just be outside, so there's not a lot of walking up to your door and close interaction, which makes sense.
That makes a ton of sense.
And I like it. Plus, I like to be outside. I mean, here's the thing. I don't like opening a door, not knowing what's on the other side and what kind of 17-year-old jerk is wearing a terrifying costume. I don't like that. I like being outside and I can see, okay, here comes the kid that's way too old to be trick-or-treating, and he's wearing like a bloody Jason mask that I'm not interested in.
I'm just waiting for the second part of the story to be like, and so I've got the hose ready and I'm going to turn it on them.
Hey, that's how we make it extreme.
Ooh, there you go. You're too old, kid, and start spraying him with the hose.
That's right. I've already got some ideas just in chatting here. We have 2 trees in our front yard, and I think I'm gonna have a chocolate tree and like a chewy tree.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like the Skittles and the Starburst.
So one tree is Chewbacca's tree, and the other tree is a chocolate tree.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Chewbacca candy only.
Yep, that makes total sense. Yep.
It's porg meat.
Oh, porg meat.
It's the only thing I've ever known to eat, right?
Yeah. So,
or at least want to eat.
So the thing is, Super Friends, like we kind of, we're taking, kind of a tongue-in-cheek kind of fun approach to this, but the reality is that, and I've kind of said this all along with a lot of things during this pandemic, is that just because, things maybe aren't like what we're used to as being normal, doesn't mean you can't make things fun and exciting and a way to make memories. Like I'll go back to what we did for Jackson's birthday, which was late April. We put out the call to all the neighbors and friends and family and teachers that it was his birthday, and we did a drive-by birthday, and all the cars kind of came by and honked at him and waved. And like, yes, he wanted to have a birthday party with friends, but we couldn't do that at the time due to governmental restrictions, but we still made a memory. And so like, that's the thing with Halloween. Where you may be in the world, where you may be locally, could vary based upon your restrictions or the recommendations. And like, man, we've gone through like a handful, two handfuls of like really, really cool ideas of like different things you can do to make memories and still have it be a very fun holiday without necessarily having to do things that are dangerous, except unless, of course, you're looking at that leaf blower. That could be dangerous. I don't know.
Yeah, dangerous. I'll label it as dangerous.
So,
I'll go that
Matt,
far.
what is your plan for your family for Halloween?
Definitely. I think Jesse's going to take the kids trick or treating, and I will be at home in the front yard with a chair, and I'll be manning the candy. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it yet, but I do kind of like the idea of hanging it
From the
from
trees?
something trees and letting kids kind of grab them from the clothespins and moving on.
That's a good idea. I really do like that. In our neck of the woods, we're kind of like at a moderate, like our state is kind of changed from like low, from like this color system to a low, moderate, and high. And so cases have been going up. So since we're in the moderate and we're not quite to the high level, but we're moving our way that direction, unfortunately.
Right.
We kind of decided that we're not going to do trick or treating this year. And our plan was to turn the lights off and that we're going to do like a family party here with our kids. So we're going to do some themed food and we're going to do some games and then we're going to watch a movie. And so it'll still be
Nice.
fun and the kids will still earlier in the day we're going to do a drive-through trick or treat thing at their daycare. So basically like we're going to drive up and they're going to hand us like normally we would all go there and they would do trick or treating through all the different rooms and they would play games and then we have like a big soup and breadstick kind of like lunch at the end. But instead we're
Yeah.
going to drive through and they're going to be handing out sealed bags of candy and soup and breadsticks or something. And so we're going to drive through and the kids are going to get dressed up for that. And
Okay.
and
Okay.
we've kind of talked about maybe the virtual like little you know Halloween whatchamacallit, fashion show type of thing. And we might do some of that. We might just take some pictures and put them on social media. But
Nice.
that's kind of where our headspace is at right now on the issue, and things still could change depending on what happens between
Sure.
now
Sure.
and then.
Sure.
So
yeah.
But that's what we're doing, Super Friends. We want to hear from you. What are your plans for Halloween? Are you going out? Are you staying in? Do you have special ideas? Like, are you going to do things creative? Or is it just going to be kind of the usual for you? So we want to hear from you. I'm excited because next week we can read those answers, and then we're still going to be doing this old movie club, Matt, on a Halloween movie.
Yeah.
So, super excited. So let us know. Get us at all the normal places. That's our email, fordofnerd@gmail.com, facebook.com/fordofnerd, Twitter @fordofnerd, Instagram fordofnerd, YouTube, the Fortress of Nerditude, our Discord, and basically anywhere you can find us on the web.
Yeah.
I feel like that list is growing.
It is growing. It's great.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Matt, this was fun. I'm glad once again we were able to do this. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to doing it again next week.
Yeah, me too.
Well, from all of us here at the Fortress of Nerditude to all of you out there, wherever you may be, may the Force be with you. Always.